In this video, I'm going to try to help you manage your expectations as a football club owner involved in organized football at the grassroots level. You set up a football club with the sole purpose of training and developing young players within the auspices of organized football. It's a noble idea. It's great. In fact, I believe you've taken on the most difficult job in organized football. You should be embraced. You've descended into an arena, a volatile business arena, where even the shrewdest of businessmen are wary of. It's unpredictable. It's unprofitable. Now, you set up a grassroots football club. You spent a lot of resources assembling young and promising players. You registered them as amateur players. You've been told that once these players are registered for the first time as professionals abroad, you will receive training compensation. You also told that you're eligible to receive solidarity contribution once they are transferred for a fee. That a percentage of this fee will be paid to you as solidarity contribution. But you've been sold an elusive dream because it's very difficult to get this regulatory payment. It's like navigating a maze. Now, I remind you that FIFA's provisions on training rewards are not mandatory provisions to be implemented at the national level by your national member association. They have no compulsion to implement this provision at the national level. When this player signs his first professional contract in your home country, you're not going to receive training compensation. You won't. Then you have to wait for solidarity contribution when the player is transferred against a fee. But majority of the transfers in football are free transfers. Majority of the times, these players, when they sign their first professional contract abroad, they sign this contract with Category 4 football clubs. And Category 4 football clubs do not have the obligation to pay training compensation. And there are times when the player signs his first professional contract with a club that is not a Category 4 football club. But the club requires you to send a waiver before they engage the player. They've offered him good conditions, good salaries. And they're telling him, you can only sign this if your club sends us a waiver. They pitch the player against you. In order to allow the player progress his career, you sign these waivers. You're left with nothing. Sometimes they promise you sell-on fees. These sell-on fees do not happen because the player may not be sold to a third club for a fee. And there are times when these clubs, they don't come to you asking for waivers. They come through a breach club. They come through a club with the sole purpose of circumventing the provisions of the regulations. They do not want to pay you training compensation. They know if they approach you directly, you're going to ask them for training compensation because they're a big club. But they'll send a Category 4 football club. They'll send a breach club. And then the breach club signs your player. You will not get anything. Now a breach transfer has occurred. You've approached your lawyer. He tells you, yes, indeed the breach transfer has occurred. But you're going to have a difficult time proving that the breach transfer has occurred. Because people who come to circumvent the provisions of the regulations do it with great sophistication. It becomes difficult for you to establish that a breach transfer has indeed occurred. They understand the rules, the regulations better than you do. They are more sophisticated than you are. They understand that it will be presumed that the breach transfer has occurred if 2 consecutive transfers, national or international, occur within a period of 16 weeks of the same player. They understand that if they're able to defeat this 16 weeks window, that presumption goes. Once that presumption goes, the burden will rest on your shoulders to establish that a breach transfer indeed occurred. But establishing that a breach transfer occurs is so difficult. It's easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for you to establish that a breach transfer has indeed occurred. Because these guys carry it out with great sophistication. The club needs your player in the summer. They approach the breach club in January. The breach club recruits your player in January. He's participating in football games for the club. He's scoring goals for the club, for the breach club. He's become a fan favorite. By summer, he's transferred to the destination club, the actual destination club. The intent of these guys was to circumvent the provisions of the regulations. But they've done it in a very smart way. How can you establish that this was indeed a breach transfer? Now, running a grassroots football club is an uphill task. Like I said earlier, it is the most difficult job in organized football. You're molding these players into fine professional players. You're raising them under the rain, under the sun, with no compensation, with mere promise of futuristic or some futuristic compensation that might never come. The confetti almost never falls at the grassroots level. It never falls. These Hollywood-style transfers, they don't come here. They don't affect you. They almost never affect you. You've taken on the most difficult job. These clubs, they understand the regulations better than you do. They exploit these regulatory provisions against you. When you breach the regulations, FIFA goes hard on you. When you decide to stay true to the regulations, to keep to the regulations, the bad guys exploit you. They make you cry. That's the sad reality. It's a difficult terrain.